Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is AISYAH NABILAH binti ROSLEE, and I am a first year architecture student from the University Science Islam Malaysia. And today I would like to present on the last project I did on the last semester, which is to the part. But first I would like to briefly explain about the task. Okay, as an architecture student, of course we need to go back to our campus because we need our studio. We need to do the drawing on a drafting table because it is kind of hard to do the drawing in our house because we don't have that facilities. Not just that, it will be much more easier for us to do the grid session face to face and more understandable in that way. Besides, we can actually ask our lecturer face to face, because I think when we want to ask the lecturer in online, it's kind of, we easily got distracted. It's like we want to ask the lecturer, but then suddenly our friends need us, and then we have no choice but to answer, to reply our friends first, and then at the end we forgot about that. But then, as we are in pandemic, we kind of have a limited space to walk around, to move around, because we want to prevent from the spread of the COVID-19, coronavirus. So by inventing a studio part, it can actually prevent the student from moving around, and then prevents the student from, it will prevent from the spread of the COVID-19, because the student apparently practicing the social distancing rules when we are in a park. So not just that, the studio part can actually give the students a place to rest and then do their work privately. By doing the work privately doesn't mean that we need to do the work in private in a closed space, but rather it is more like doing it personally, something like that. So with the limited space of 2.1 meter length, and then times 1.8 meter height, and times 1.5 meter width, we are required to design a studio part for 24 hours use for a single occupancy, and all activities in this part are related to design studio work, such as drafting, designing and drawing. Yeah. So the objective of the project are to further the student concerns about the elementary needs. The second one is to introduce and create awareness of scale proportion of the human body. That is why the space provided is very limited, because we are focusing on only one person. And then the third one is understanding human understanding human factors to the design of space to improve comfort, safety and productivity. That means that the studio part is suitable for us to like sitting and then pen or moving around normally. And the last one is to introduce role of human behavior in space, and to explore how the anthropometry and ergonometry works relating to space. Next, I'm going to talk about the NABILAH study, the concept, the ideation, and the pre-student study. As I was putting myself in as the user of the studio part, the studio part focuses more on what I need and what I want it to be. As our environment, our studio environment is kind of like of nature things, and it looks very dull. So based on the NABILAH study, I found which from Surah Al-Baqarah ayat 29, A'udzubillahi minasyaitonir rajim. والذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا ثم استوى إلى السماء فسواهن سبع سماوات وهو بكل شيء عليم. Which means He is who created you all that there is in earth, and then He rose over towards heaven, and from them 7 heavens, and He has the full knowledge of all things. Al-Baqarah 29. And I was trying to stress on the words of He who created you all that there is in earth, as the phrase itself shows that the everything in this earth is made by Allah, and that includes nature, and Allah's creation never looks boring and dull. I was focusing on I was focusing on the concept of biomimicry, which means the imitation of the nature to solve human problems. And I want the element of nature in my study part, as it reduce our stress and increase pleasant feelings. Of course, we can run away from the stress while being an architecture student. So by the implication of the nature, it will kind of help us at ease. As for the ideation, I'm using a flapping of the bat wing, because I try to mimic the wing of the bat. So this is the relationship between the Nakli, the concept, and the ideation. So the first one is the relationship between the Nakli study and the concept, in which the Nakli study is highlighted on the using the red highlight, meanwhile for the concept in the purple highlight. So yeah, the first one, He is who created you all that there is in earth, with the concept. It relates with the concept of imitation of the nature. Meanwhile, the second one is He has full knowledge of all things. That's mean we have a relation with to solve the human problems. As for the relationship between the Nakli study and ideation, again, Nakli study on the red highlight, meanwhile the ideation on the green highlight. He is who created you all that there is on the earth. That's when it have a relation with the bat wings, because Allah created the bat wings. And the second one is He has full knowledge of all things. I mean, He is all-knowing. It relate with the process of flipping of the wing. That's mean Allah knows better about the flapping of the wings. And as for the relationship between the concept and ideation, meanwhile the concept on the purple highlight, meanwhile the ideation on the green highlight. The imitation of nature that have a relation with the bat wings. So what are the relationship between those three? So relationship between those three, the Nakli study, the concept, and the ideation are He is who created you all that there is on the earth. That's mean it relate with the concept of mimicry, which is imitation of the nature, and it relate with the ideation, which is bat wings. And the second one is that He has full knowledge of all things. I mean, He is all-knowing. It relate with the concept of to solve human problems, and it relate with the process of the flipping of the wings. Okay, so as for the precedent study, I use the tensile because tensile is a structural system that use tensions instead of using compressions, and it is capable of being stretched, just like how the bat can stretch their own wing. As for the model, okay, this is the concept model, on how I managed to get the idea. On the first one is actually I got the idea from the bat wing skeletons. As for the second one, I got it on like how, the spread of the bat wings, and the last one is I got the idea from the bat wings skin. So based on the model, I created a lot of openings, and for a natural ventilation, and for a lighting that comes from the studio itself. That's mean that we don't need to think about the electricity while being hot and dark inside of it. Next, at the back, as you can see, and there's like a wire attached with a rope, so I can pull it upwards and downwards, because I tend to feel suffocated in a small space for a long time. That's why that's why I design it in that way, that we can open it and close it, because if we want to have a privacy, we can close it, but if we feel suffocated, we can pull it upwards. Besides, we can actually attach a clip on top of the bar at the back, so we can do our presentation. We can clip our presentation bar when we are doing some presentation. And then as for the facade, I designed it in that way, as I kind of wanted to make it like look very rigid and strong, just like how the bat wings are, the bat skeleton, something like that. And then so this is how the design process are, from the bat to the structure to the final form. As for the materials, I use the wooden sticks because if it is in a real construction, it's very environmental friendly, because I plan to use the bamboo, because bamboo has a tensile strength greater than the steel because of its fiber. So the knots in the construction are called the lashing technique. So the lashing technique we stack the bamboo together, and then we use the rope and then tie it around it, so it would prevent from the stick to move around, and it's actually very strong and hard to break. So as for this token, it represents tensile, because as for stocking, it's the fabric is elastic and it is able to stretch. So just like how the tensile is able to stretch very far. This is the elevations drawing. As you can see, the front, the facade is like a V shape on each level. And then as for the left and right side, it looks identical because it's asymmetrical. And as for the back, it only looks like this because as you can see, as what I want it to be, I want it to like being functional. That's mean that we can move it upwards and downwards. As for the dimension, I maximize the space for the studio pot, so it is not cramped. As for the height at the back, I only use 1.65 meter. Meanwhile, I use the maximum height at the front to create a gradient, so it will not look like a rectangular form. At the back, I design it, and I only put 1.65 meter because my height is actually 1.61 meter. That means that I still have I still able to go out on that side. As for the furniture inside, due to limited space and the structure I designed, it is kind of hard to attach a cabinet because we don't have a hard wall. That means that we need something that is not attached to a wall. That's why as for the crafting table with the size of 1.2 meter width and 1.0 meter length, so the table itself already take almost half of the side. That's mean I need to design something that is very convenient. We can that's mean that we don't need the table 24 hours. So I designed a foldable table in which it is connected to a storage. There actually have two sides, in which the other side there's no shelf, so it is suitable to put papers such as the A1 papers. And meanwhile, the other side there's 3 shelf rack. The bottom one we can put an A4 book. The second and the first one, we can actually put snacks or even stationaries, because of course sometimes that we need to sometimes we need to stay up at our studio, because we want to complete our works at the studio. So sometimes it will take almost until night, and during night there's no stores available. So I think it is a good idea for us to put a snack inside of our storage, because it will keep our hunger. It will substitute our hunger. And then when we don't want to use the table, we can actually fold it, and there will be a space that is suitable to do such as light activities, such as maybe like stretching, or maybe even if it's okay, maybe we can do praying inside there. And on top of the cabinet there's like a little space on it. We can actually put a laptop and do our work that consists of laptop there. And as for the two shelf of the each of the sides is suitable for us to put a shoe, so maybe a blanket if we if we feel very cold, because sometimes the studio aircon is very cold. That's mean that we can use the blanket when we are cold. So in conclusion, I think it is really important to consider the user's need, because not all the peoples are the same. They are all different. Some is okay to sit in a small space, but some are not, and some like their place messy, but some like to keep their place clean. As for me, I think I'm in the middle of it. I'm okay with the messy place as long as it is bearable, but I don't really like the clean place with nothing in it. Yeah. So as I was putting myself as the user, I learned that, I mean, it is more, I understand that the objective of the projects, I mean the objective is achieved. So that's why I learned that height and the space is really important. It will affect on the people's, and then that's why I designed my studio pod is not less than 1.60 meter, because if I design it below than that, I will have a hard time to stand at the back. As for the width and the length, I maximize the width and the length because it will have more space to put something in it, and then I can do some stretching, or maybe bendy, or extremely I can even lay inside of it. Yeah. So thank you for having me. That's all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.